So Spurs take game three, 115 to 111, man. Great game. Great game. The Spurs needed this one. The Spurs needed this one. This was a must-win game. Everybody knew that coming in. Castle came out playing hard. Wemby came out in the first half was playing. I mean, the first quarter was playing good. The Knicks started out slow. But it seems to never affect them because in the second half they always have a great quarter in the second half, and it like the first half it looked like game one and game two. The Knicks come out slow, Spurs come out hot, and then the Knicks just explode. And it was a great game. I really enjoyed it, but the Knicks just Brunson wasn't as aggressive in the fourth. He was good, but he wasn't as aggressive as he really was in the first game and the second one. But Cat has to be better. They were going in saying, "Oh, if the Knicks win, Cat's gonna be Finals MVP," and then he comes out with this performance. That's why you have to slow down. While it's game two, so he had 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. He played good defense with 5 stops, but he just have to be better on the offensive end because they need him. They need aggressive Cat. You know what I'm saying? He just wasn't aggressive tonight. He wasn't himself. He wasn't the game one and game two. And Mikal Bridges gave them nothing this game. He gave them absolutely nothing. Clarkson, he came off the bench. He played good. He gave them really great minutes that they really needed because when Brunson was off the floor, it didn't look like the Knicks' offense went down. Their offense was just as good. When Brunson was off the floor getting some rest, the bench played some good minutes, and they gave Brunson a great rest while he was on the bench. And you need that. You need that when your stars are, giving it all they got every time they're on the floor. You need bench guys that are gonna come in and put in good minutes because this is a home game. So all those guys are gonna play good. Shamit, he didn't give you nothing tonight. You really kind of needed him, but I mean, you're gonna have an off game. Once you have those first two games like that on the road, you're probably gonna have an off one, and that's fine because you're gonna lose some. So you just take this L, you learn from it, and yeah, the Knicks. I mean, they were bound to lose one. So coming in, nobody predicted the sweep. I had Knicks in 6, so they were bound to lose a couple. And on the Spurs almost lost this game. They thought they had it, and they just let OG hit a couple threes that didn't need to happen. But yeah, Wemby, he came out aggressive tonight, and you need that Wemby every night. But my thing is, Mitch Johnson has to be a better coach. He ain't a good coach to me. I don't like the way he coaches. He's young, and you can tell he's young, and he's just not a good coach to me. In the first quarter, Wemby and Castle came out hot. They both were hot. They both were having a good great first quarter, matter of fact. And Wemby and Castle come out at the same time at 4:35, the first quarter mark, 4:35, and the score was 24-13. And first off, if they're that hot how they were, they're staying in the whole quarter. Second off, why are they coming out at the same time? It doesn't make sense. Now you have guys who weren't scoring in the game, and you trying to get them hot when you have two guys that are scorching hot on the bench. That's just blasphemy to me. Don't do that. Especially when you're down 2-0, you leave those guys in to give it all they got until if they got to play the whole 12 minutes, so be it. It's the NBA Finals, Game 3, and you're down 2-0. If they got to play the full quarter, then they got to play the full quarter. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And I just didn't see why he took them out at the same time, and then took them out Quimby came back in. The Knicks had a 7-6 scoring range while Wemby was out. So it ain't kind of bad. And then for the Knicks side, Castle was going crazy. My thing is, Mike Brown, make the adjustment, or OG Anunoby, being that you was second team all defense, why don't you take that matchup? You got your guy Josh Hart on him. When you're stronger, more physical, bigger, why don't you take that matchup? Because he was just, Castle was killing hard. OG has to be, hey, I got him. Because Castle was going crazy in that first half. He was getting everything he wanted. Either OG has to man up and say, I got him, or Mike Brown has to say, okay, OG, we're switching it up. You're going to guard him. Because OG is guarding shooters. Josh Hart guard a shooter. Like, that's, coaches have to make those necessary adjustments because those are going to be big. And, like, tonight, that was big. In the first half, Castle 8, if you could have put OG on him and he doesn't go 6 for 7 in the first half and he goes, like, 5 for 10, that changes the whole trajectory of the game. So I feel like OG has to be more aware and just guard him, because you were second team all defense saying you wanted to be first. So why aren't you taking that matchup anyway? Because you're not guarding Wemby, so the least you can do is guard the second best player. And Castle, I think Harper is the second best player, but in this case, Castle starts. So why aren't you guarding Castle if you're second team all NBA? And then, like I said, Brunson came out. The Knicks gave good energy. The bench came in. They did what they were supposed to do. So, I mean, Castle had 2 fouls early. Carter Bryant, when he gets in the game, he's looking to disrupt everything. He's trucking people, running over people. He did this in the last series, too. I don't know what's up with that young man. And he came in, first shot of the game, he made a 3. I'm thinking, okay, he's getting ready. He just come in and gets 2 fouls, like trucking people. Like, I don't know why he does that. And then in the second quarter, here go Castle again, getting to it. And I'm like, where's OG Anunoby? And this is my thing, too. When Mitch Johnson takes Wemby out of the first quarter at like the 6-minute mark, when Wemby gets back in the second quarter, he's not aggressive at all. And he scores 6 points, but he only takes like 2 shots. That's why I say you got to play Wemby those full first 12 minutes, because when he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not. And he's not going to be aggressive. He's not going to take shots. He's just going to, let the game come to him. And if you're down 2-0, you can't let the game come to you if you're the best player on the floor, which he, is. You gotta go to the game, go take the game. Because in that second quarter, the Knicks put up 42 points and y'all put up 24. And you only scored 6 of those. You gotta be better. That's why I say you gotta let them play the full 12. So instead of it being like 33-22, it's like 40-22 maybe. And if Wemby's in, they probably don't even get the 22 because, he's the best defensive player. He's the defensive player of the year. So that's why I say you got to keep Wemby in for those whole 12 minutes, because taking him out just to put him back in the first quarter anyway, that ain't doing nothing. But if it was me, ain't doing nothing but pissing me off. And, if I'm hot, I lost my momentum. So I don't see why he does that. Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. The Knicks just got to be better in the fourth. Cat has to get going. He had some, 3 deep threes that he pulled. Mikal has to give him something. Those first 2 games, he had great games. But in the third game, he gave him nothing this game. And it was, it was really hard to watch because he couldn't give him nothing. And then his substitution is Shamet. And Shamet couldn't give him nothing. So now you're looking at Brunson and Anunoby, and they're carrying the offensive load. And they're looking for somebody to help them. And that's where Mike Brown has to use the hot hand. Jordan Clarkson only got 13 minutes tonight. You should have let Jordan Clarkson get in those Shamet minutes, because how many Shamet got tonight? Shamet got 23 minutes. If Jordan Clarkson could have got a couple of those, I think that would have affected the game in a totally different way, because he was 4 for 7, 2 for 2 for 3 with 10 points. If he could have been in a couple of those in those minutes, I feel like, the game would have went totally different. But, you're gonna win some, you lose some. They still got home court advantage. They're up 2-1. They trying to go into next game and win this game. If they win this next one at home and go up 3-1, they can probably, let up off the gas for game 5 and then come back home for game 6 and, get the win there. So, hopefully the Knicks can do it. I had Knicks in 6, so hopefully I'm right, so, and Wemby is one of my favorite players, so I don't like to see Wemby lose, but, I think the Knicks were the better team. They got the better coach. They're the better team. They're bigger, older, more wiser. And the Spurs got everything against them. They're young, just got out of game 7. I didn't think this was a good matchup for them anyway. So I had Knicks in 6, and that's my prediction. That's all I got for you guys, though. See you guys.